I work at a small bookstore in Paris. A customer picked up a novel, flipped through it, and asked why it wasn't available in American English. I said it was in English. She replied, "No, this is British English. The spelling looks wrong." She asked if we had a corrected version for American readers, because different spellings can be confusing and reduce enjoyment. She suggested international bookstores should standardize English so Americans don't feel excluded while traveling. She put the book back and left empty-handed. I'm a security guard at Sensoji Temple in Tokyo. A woman scooped water from the purification fountain and splashed it on her legs like it was a public pool. When I explained that the water is meant for ritual hand-washing before prayer, she replied that in America, public fountains are for anyone to use however they want. She filmed the entire exchange and insisted the temple should install clearer English signage explaining which fountains are decorative and which are functional, because international tourists shouldn't have to guess cultural rules. My cousin manages a ski rental shop in Zermatt. A customer asked for skis adjusted for Fahrenheit conditions, claiming European cold feels scientifically different from American cold. When my cousin explained that snow behaves the same everywhere, the man insisted American temperature measurements affect equipment performance differently. He demanded written proof that Swiss mountains operate under the same physical laws as Colorado. He took the skis anyway, then returned them, claiming they'd been calibrated incorrectly. I work at a cafe in Reykjavik. A woman ordered coffee, took one sip, and asked if we had American coffee instead of this European version. When I said it was just coffee, she explained that American beans are freedom, roasted and taste less bitter due to superior technique. "This tastes old-fashioned," she said. She asked me to water it down and add extra sugar to make it American style. I declined. She left a review accusing us of discriminating against American taste preferences. I'm a train conductor in Prague. A passenger complained that our trains felt too European and asked when we'd install American-style cup holders and reclining seats. When I explained this is European rail infrastructure, he said America invented modern transportation, so we should upgrade to their standards. He spent the entire journey standing in the aisle, comparing our dining car to Amtrak and explaining American engineering superiority to other passengers. My brother works at a pharmacy in Bangkok. A customer asked for ibuprofen, then insisted on paying in US dollars because it's the world's reserve currency, which he said makes it international legal tender. When my brother explained we only accept Thai baht, the man waved a $20 bill and said, "Dollars are more valuable. Everyone accepts dollars. That's basic economics." My brother directed him to a currency exchange. The man left muttering about Thailand not being globally connected. I'm a museum docent in Amsterdam. During a Rembrandt tour, a visitor interrupted to ask why the Netherlands doesn't celebrate the 4th of July. When I explained we're Dutch, he said, "But it's the birthday of freedom. Everyone should celebrate American independence because it inspired liberation movements worldwide." She insisted our museum should host special July exhibitions acknowledging America's contribution to global liberty. She seemed genuinely hurt when I simply continued the tour. My uncle runs a barbershop in Istanbul. A customer sat down and immediately launched into political opinions about Middle Eastern policy. When my uncle stayed silent, the man said that in America, barbershops are where men debate politics and that it's an important tradition. My uncle replied that Turkish barbers prefer focusing on their craft. The customer looked personally offended, tipped in loose change, and left a comment card suggesting we encourage more dialogue. I worked reception at a hotel in Oslo. A guest called asking which channel showed American football. When I explained Norwegian TV doesn't broadcast NFL games live, he sounded shocked. "But football is the world's most popular sport," he said. "How do Norwegians spend Sundays?" I mentioned soccer is huge here. He corrected me immediately. "That's not real football. Real football has touchdowns." He filed a complaint about inadequate sports programming and suggested we purchase an American satellite package for international guests. I'm a postal clerk in Dublin. A woman mailed a package and then asked why our stamps don't feature American flags. I said we're Ireland. She replied, "But America liberated Europe. Shouldn't your stamps acknowledge that?" She suggested commemorative stamps honoring American soldiers. When I processed her package quietly, she muttered about European ingratitude and asked to speak with a manager about updating stamp designs to be more historically inclusive. My sister manages a gym in Copenhagen. A member demanded we play the American national anthem before opening each morning. She explained that American gyms do this to motivate workouts. When my sister declined, the woman claimed the Star-Spangled Banner has scientifically proven benefits for cardiovascular performance due to patriotic frequencies. She offered to email research studies. My sister politely refused. The woman cancelled her membership on the spot. I'm a librarian in Singapore. A visitor asked why our history section doesn't include more American presidents. I explained we focus on Southeast Asian history. He said American presidents shaped world history and that we were teaching incomplete information. He recommended restructuring the entire collection so at least 30% reflected America's global influence. He offered to donate books about Washington and Lincoln to help us get started. My cousin works at a bank in Buenos Aires. A customer wanted to open an account using only his Texas driver's license. When asked for a passport, he said his license proves he's American, which should be sufficient anywhere in the world. He explained American state IDs are globally recognized because of America's credibility. He left frustrated, muttering about bureaucratic inefficiency, and threatened to report us to the U.S. Embassy for discrimination. I'm a park ranger in Kruger National Park. During a safari, a tourist asked why there were no safety railings near wildlife viewing areas. I explained this is natural habitat. She said America prioritizes visitor safety with proper barriers and called our approach irresponsible. She wanted management to install American standard fencing and threatened to contact her travel insurance company over unsafe conditions. My brother-in-law works at a government office in Stockholm. An American applying for a residence permit was shocked by the 2-week processing time. In America, we value efficiency, he said. When told everyone waits equally, he offered $20 to skip the queue, explaining that tipping culture solves bureaucratic delays everywhere. He looked confused when my brother-in-law refused and said bribery is illegal. I'm a ticket agent at the Colosseum in Rome. A visitor complained about the entrance fee, saying American national parks are much cheaper. I explained maintenance costs for a 2,000-year-old monument. He said the U.S. National Park Service proves historical sites should be affordable and suggested freedom-based pricing models. He asked whether we offered military discounts for American veterans. I work at a restaurant in Lyon. A customer sent his steak back 3 times, describing perfect medium rare using Fahrenheit temperatures. When I explained we rely on touch and visual cues, he said American steakhouses use precise temperature science, which is why their beef is superior. He demanded we buy an American calibrated meat thermometer and suggested our chef take online courses from Texas steakhouses. My aunt manages a bakery in Vienna. A tourist requested a birthday cake decorated with American flag frosting. When she said we don't do custom flags, the woman replied that it's a universal symbol of freedom and everyone should be honored to display it. She left disappointed, asking whether our refusal was political or anti-American bias. I'm a waiter in Melbourne. 4 Americans occupied a table for 3 hours, ordered only water and 1 appetizer, then asked why I wasn't checking on them every 5 minutes. When I explained Australian service is less intrusive, one said American hospitality means constant attention. They tipped $2 total and left a long review comparing us unfavorably to Applebee's. My cousin works at a pizzeria in Naples. A customer ordered a margarita pizza and asked where the ranch dressing was. When told we don't serve ranch, he looked genuinely confused. He said ranch is the official pizza condiment and claimed Americans perfected pizza by adding it. He offered to mail us ranch packets from the US. I'm a bartender in Berlin. Someone ordered a whiskey cocktail, took a sip, and said it tasted too European and sophisticated. He explained American drinks are sweeter and engineered for fun. He asked me to remake it with more sugar and less alcohol and suggested I watch YouTube videos on American mixology. My sister works at a street food stall in Mumbai. A tourist ate 1 samosa and demanded a refund, saying it wasn't authentic. She'd had samosas in Ohio that tasted different. Those were real, she said. American Indian restaurants set the gold standard, and we should learn from them. I manage a cafe in Lisbon. A customer asked for a normal-sized coffee instead of an espresso. When I offered an Americano, he said no, a regular American coffee. He claimed small cups were a leftover austerity measure and asked when Portugal would adopt American-sized beverages. My brother runs a grocery store in Seoul. A shopper complained peanut butter was expensive and explained that since America invented it, other countries should produce it affordably under license. She suggested we contact American manufacturers for bulk discounts. I work at a tea house in Marrakesh. A visitor tasted mint tea and asked if we had regular tea like Lipton bags. She said Lipton is universal and that American companies perfected tea through corporate research. She asked us to stock it for American tourists. My uncle runs a taco truck in Mexico City. A customer said the tacos weren't authentic because they didn't taste like Taco Bell. He claimed Tex-Mex represents real Mexican food and asked for more cheese and seasoned ground beef. My uncle said no. I'm a taxi driver in Athens. A passenger asked to go to the Parthenon in Rome. When I explained it's in Athens, she said she'd seen it in movies and asked if I was sure. She suggested travel guides should clarify things better and asked if we could drive to Rome anyway. My sister works at an airport in Copenhagen. An American asked which gate goes to Europe. When told he was already in Europe, he said he meant real Europe, like Paris. He demanded a supervisor and complained about misleading signage. I'm a bus driver in Montreal. A tourist asked why signs were in French. I explained Quebec is French-speaking. She insisted North America should only use English and asked when Quebec plans to switch languages. My brother-in-law works at a car rental in Reykjavik. A customer was shocked we drive on the right side of the road. He assumed all of Europe drives like England and suggested the EU mandate one universal driving side. I'm a ferry worker in Istanbul. A passenger asked when we'd reach Asia. I said we were crossing into it right now. She insisted the Middle East is separate because that's how she was taught. She said American geography is clearer. My cousin works at a train station in Brussels. An American was shocked. Amsterdam was only 2 hours away. She said Europe is cramped and suggested countries merge into larger states like America. I'm a tour guide in Cairo. A visitor asked why everyone doesn't speak English. He said tourist countries should adopt English as their primary language for convenience. My uncle works at a metro station in Barcelona. When he gave directions in Spanish, a tourist asked if he could speak normal. She meant English and complained that workers don't use proper international language. I'm a hotel concierge in Hanoi. A guest thought Vietnam was in South America. When corrected, she blamed American education and suggested Asian countries market their locations better. My brother works at a language school in Prague. An American student was frustrated locals didn't understand him when he spoke louder English. He insisted volume transcends language and wanted us to teach Czechs to understand English automatically. I'm a bartender in Sydney. An American walked in, looked around and asked why Australia didn't feel more American. He seemed disappointed, like he'd expected a themed version of home. He spent an hour explaining how Australia could improve, then left without tipping. Some people travel the world expecting it to adjust to them, instead of the other way around.